Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the Whisky Investment Podcast. I'm Alwynne Gwilt, whisky journalist, and this month we're over at the beautiful English Whisky Distillery in Norfolk. And I'm joined by founder Andrew Nelstrop, who is going to tell us all about this amazing history behind the distillery here in England. Andrew, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's been a little while since I've been over here, and you've obviously had so much going on over the last, well, we're going to get into it, but 20 years. Pretty spectacular. For those out there who maybe haven't met you, don't know what you're all about, haven't heard of English Whisky Distillery, which would be crazy, I know, but just in case, can you tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are?
I can. So I'm Andrew Nelstrop, currently owner of the English Distillery and the English Whisky Company that works from it. Mm-hmm. We were founded in 2005 by my father, who had a lifetime dream of opening a whisky distillery. Mm. I don't think it was ever going to be like this, but he knew he wanted to make whiskey.
Yeah.
So in 2006, we started distilling here, same kit that you see today. And it was really a passion project for him that had come about, I think, nearly a generation earlier, when the farm in Lincolnshire, my grandfather used to moan that the barley had to go to Scotland to be turned into something useful. And it stuck. And you know, my father, we emigrated to Australia. We farmed in Australia. He had set up charities farming all around the place. And we also farmed in Lincolnshire and Norfolk and Suffolk. And so we were good at the barley side, obviously. But this was a thing that just came up year after year, and the great family AGM, which was a coffee around the kitchen table, it'd always bring it up. And obviously, as a 20-year-old, I had no interest in whiskey particularly. But then when he turned 60, it was just, if you want to do it. And it was going to be a small, very small distillery. It was, for those that remember 20 years ago, there seemed to be a microbrewery in every village.
Yes.
It was pre the days of gin distilleries.
Yeah.
And so father thought he was going to do that. And I think really with the aim of making enough whiskey to supply him and his four.
Really like a farm distillery.
A farm distillery,
like historically
but
they
even
were.
probably smaller than that for him and his mates to have a free supply of booze. But HMRC, luckily for me, said, no, you can't do that. This was pre-Sip Smith. I can't remember who else at the time was arguing. Well, they weren't. They didn't exist. But there was a minimum legal size of still of 1,800 litres.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was several years before that got overturned. So rather than give up, he went, I'll build a big one. And so this is what was built. Yeah. And yes, I don't think we've ever run it to full capacity. I think in theory it would make 750,000 bottles of whiskey a year, which I couldn't sell. So we potter along. But it's, I mean, in the world of whiskey, 20 years isn't very long. And so the actual distilling floor is pretty much unchanged since day one. Yeah. This room we're sat in has had a makeover, but that's about it. Yeah. And so we were England's first registered whiskey distillery. I think the one before it was in Lee Valley, where the Olympics were held. And the story goes in Alfred Barnard's book, it was there in 1898 or something. Yep. And the general belief is it turned to gin distillation not long after that, and then burnt down in 1903. So
it had a short-lived...
It had its done. Yeah. But interesting, they were big. There were 4 whiskey distilleries in England back then, but they were massive, or huge by modern standards. Yeah. And because they made not just single malt whiskey as we know it, they were basically making alcohol.
Yeah, grain neutral spirits
and churning it out.
Yeah.
So I think, memory serves me right, there was London, Lee Valley, Bristol, and maybe Liverpool, 2 in Bristol or 2 in Liverpool, something like that, which all soon disappeared after the turn of the century. It was quite a long time before anyone else turned up. I mean, I think the next lot, if we were 2006, then the next distillery started in about 2010. Yeah. And here we are. So we were on our own for a few years, and we were on our own for quite a long time before anyone had mature whiskey. And then today, myself and 3 others founded the English Whisky Guild, so we sort of keep an eye on what's going on. And today, there's meant to be 73 whiskey distilleries, either in production or being built or being dreamt about. So,
I mean, it's just unbelievable that growth in a short period of time.
I think the growth has been helped. When we started, you spent your money, a lot of money, because the minimum size.
Of course.
So there was none of this tiny micro distillery.
Yeah, you couldn't have a small setup to begin with. And
nobody really, the gin thing hadn't started. So you made whiskey and you sat back and waited 3-5 years before you earned a penny.
Yeah.
So it was millions to start. Whereas now, of course, you can start with a tiny distillery and you can sell gin and vodka for to
keep you going until
you need some money. So the entry barriers have gone, which makes life a lot easier, I think, these days. Why, hence the boom in numbers of the distilleries.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing you've had that oversight over the last, obviously, 2 decades. Looking back on that, what are some of those proud achievements? What are some of those milestone moments for you?
Well, it probably started, we were opened by King Charles, Prince then. That was a big deal. That was the summer of 2007. I think we expected him to come for 40 minutes, stayed for about 4 hours, so that was good.
Yes, amazing.
And always nerve-wracking because his sort of doesn't hold back if he doesn't like architecture. So building obviously looked right. So
you passed those checks. Yeah.
So that was good. And then there's obviously a quiet period that your 2-3-year-old whiskey, yes, it's winning awards, but it's not winning awards that are life-changingly momentous because it's still quite young.
Yeah, of course. It takes a while.
So, yes, you can win Best New Make Spirit, and that's lovely, but it's really a guide of what's going to come later, hopefully. So that was, I think, probably the first proper recognition was we won a double gold at San Francisco. I can't even remember the year. It was probably 2010 or 11. I
think it was
which
around
was amazing.
2011, about when we first met. Yes, about 15 years ago, and you were very excited about it.
That was a very big deal at the time. And then, yes, as the years gone by, they've rolled in. But, I mean, the recent highlights have been, we have a core range sherry cask, which won World's Best Single Malt Whiskey at World Whisky Awards in 2024. That was huge, and I was so unexpected that I was actually going on holiday that night, so I didn't find out until we landed, which was amazing. That holiday disappeared. Laptops came out. You had to do some
of course. Work.
And that was really big deal. And we'd actually had 3 whiskies in that year's competition. One was a very sort of halo range founders, so there's probably 100 or 200 bottles. One was a small batch that probably would have been limited to 1,500 bottles, and then one was the core range, which keeps coming. And you look back on these things years later and you think, oh my God, thank God it was the core range.
Because you could actually continue to supply that.
And it also makes life easier. We watched one of the Australians a few years earlier win the same award. And because it was a really tiny run, they tripled prices overnight, quite rightly. But for us, it was so much easier. I think we're the only people that have ever won it and not put the price up. It's a core product. Therefore, that's the price. It stays the price.
As you say, it's almost unheard of, and it's happened to so many categories. I can think of a number where it's then meant it's completely inaccessible.
It's done.
Down the line.
So we have, even today, I think it just stays. It's had an inflationary increase, but that's it. And that's been really nice. And then more recently this year, our World's Best Small Batch Single Malt Whiskey, which was really lovely, a slightly peated one. And again, we're trying very hard to leave the price alone. And if you are a big 5 player, you can probably do what you like. If you are not one of those, and we rely on our core group of customers, my belief is you don't piss them off. If it was 60 quid before the award, it's 60 quid after, and if it was 100 quid, it's 100 quid. It can't suddenly be 300. I know demand will mean it's gone, but it's gone, and that's it.
And that's it.
So those, and there have been lots of other highlights over the years. I think my father passed away I don't think I knew. He passed away in 2014, and the first thing I did after he'd gone was I did 2 things. One was I called a branding agency because Father didn't believe in them, and so we had never called in a designer. Everything had been designed on Word, literally on a Word document.
Little paperclip in the corner.
Pretty much.
Like, would you like?
And there we go. So we smartened up the brand a bit. And with hindsight, actually, that cost us a lot. We should have done that on day one. And we opened the restaurant, and the restaurant's been amazing. I think people think we certainly did. When you open a whiskey distillery, your main business is going to be whiskey.
Yes.
It definitely isn't. It's
part
tourism.
Yeah.
We get 80,000 visitors a year.
Amazing.
And,
it's parking that was full when I came yesterday. I was saying,
exactly, midweek. And I think it's a saving grace if you don't have gin or vodka to sell.
Yes.
Because you need people on day one. The original business plan shows 1,500 visitors a year.
Amazing.
So that's good. So there are awards are always a highlight, but actually there are other things that have been amazing as well.
Come along the way. You mentioned obviously your father who passed away just over 10 years ago.
Yes.
Now, but it has very much remained a family business. Your other half is doing the marketing side, obviously.
Yes.
But how important has that been for it to be, remaining as that family business as you've grown?
It obviously can't be that important because everyone else manages to cope perfectly well with outside investors. I think there's two things. One, you have to decide whether you're making really world-class whiskey or whether you are making acceptable whiskey. Mm-hmm. And I think people have to make that decision because there's a time and investment in casks and kit and everything. Mm-hmm. And there is a big decision to make right at the beginning about how you are controlling your maturing stock. Mm-hmm. Now, if you are beholden to investors and banks and whatever it might, shareholders, that ability to make that decision is slightly taken out of your hands. You have to repay some money, or you have to give a dividend. And therefore, if that means selling a lot of your stock as 3-year-old, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So the question probably isn't how important is it that we are family owned. It's how important is it that we don't have any outside interference in our finances. Mm-hmm. And because we don't borrow money, we have an incredible luxury going, that whiskey's not quite ready, we'll just leave it.
You'll sit on it, you'll wait.
And there is a rolling cask program of 50 years. And so I'm not going to care when most of them get to 50 years old, it'll be long gone. But it is definitely a mindset. And I think probably that mindset is programmed a bit by coming from a farming background. Every farmer will plant a wood at some point or hedge line. They are not going to see the benefit of that wood. It is for generations down the line.
Yeah, of course.
And that same mentality to maturing whiskey is quite important. Mm-hmm. And if you come from I'm not saying you can't do it, but if you come from a different background of marketing or a banking or whatever,
you want to see that return immediately.
Well, there is an expectation. Your natural way to do numbers is to look at a return on investment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the moment you do that, you probably should be making gin, not whiskey.
Yeah. It's a fascinating point, I think, because we've seen over the past year a real retraction in terms of the industry's maybe appetite for continuing at the same capacity it has been doing so in the past, probably because people are looking at those year-on-year numbers rather than those decade-on-decade numbers and saying, oof, that's a bit of a drop-off from last year, we've got to do something about that. Do you think that's affecting how the whiskey industry can operate currently, or will that rebalance?
It will always rebalance eventually. For the small producers, it's less of an issue.
Yeah.
Once you've got a 20-year, in our case, stock of whiskey, if there's a slight downturn for a year or two, it's not the end of the world that we suddenly have more 12-year-olds than 10-year-olds, or we can deal with it.
Yeah, you can manage
If you're sitting on tens of millions of casks, and people forget a lot of what I'd call unaged, or the unaged state-minted whiskey is sold notably less than 10 years old. Say,
yes, absolutely, 5, 7, 8 years, absolutely.
If you suddenly don't sell a million casks of 3-year-old or 5-year-old, you've then got a million extra casks of 8-year-old or 10-year-old, and that wave is very hard if you're working in a price range of 20 quid in Tesco's. That price range, how do you suddenly sell a 14-year-old?
But the same you can't.
You destroy your brand.
Yeah.
So suddenly you've got this wave of more expensive and older whiskey going through, which is quite scary if the whiskey's in a bit of a downturn.
Yeah.
And there comes a point at 30-year-old you can't sell it. I think actually, without customers knowing, they will find that their standard blends probably have a higher proportion of older stuff in them.
Absolutely.
Because it has to go.
And there's been some very nice moments in the industry historically where you sometimes will pick up an old bottle, from an auction from the 90s, and you're like, oof, this is definitely says it's a 7-year-old blend, but it's got some 30-year-old stuff in it. You're tasting it, and you're like, that's delicious.
That's gonna happen.
It will, absolutely. Yeah.
So, it's a bigger issue for the big boys.
Yeah, fair enough.
And if you've invested 100 million quid in a new distillery that makes tons of whiskey, it's a bit sad turning it off for a year. But that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Jim Beam turned off for at least a year, maybe longer. I mean, that's pretty full on.
It's,
we'll just reduce our annual tonnage of barley that we distill. We'll bring it down a bit, but
it's not detrimental to
about it. I was talking about this the other day to one of the team, and if we stopped distilling for a year, it really wouldn't make any odds. In 20 years' time, it would all even out.
Yeah.
But that's different.
Absolutely.
To millions of casks.
On that note, you obviously make a variety of different styles of whiskey in terms of when it goes into the cask and what you're producing from in the bottle perspective. What are some of the things you're doing behind the scenes of the distillery that are specific to your style?
The end result, as you know, is probably an infinity number of whiskies you could launch. Different casks, different ages, different strengths, different peating levels. But actually, we, apart from 1 week of the year, we only make two spirits. We make a peated one and an unpeated one. And those form the basis of everything. The unpeated one obviously is the bigger element, because while at whiskey shows and events there's this deep-seated love of peated whiskey, in the real world people don't drink it.
Yes.
So we do a lot more unpeated spirit than peated. We then have a core maturation in, first of all, bourbon casks, which I like. They're very consistent. There's a degree of snob value about wanting, shouldn't you be in this sherry cask or that? But actually, you get in the world of whiskey, you just want consistency. And so I find, I go out to Kentucky and we pick our casks and we know exactly what we're getting, what mash bills have been in them before. So I'm quite religious on ensuring the traceability of our casks. But it gives us a very consistent product. And then some of the whiskey, we mature its whole life in rum or sherry casks. And some of the whiskey will move from a bourbon cask into something else. Normally for years, rather than, we're not very good at the splash and dash finish. I don't have enough people or time. So
you transfer things into different casks.
Yes, it's hard work. So we tend to, we've got lots of different wine casks, port casks and all sorts. And it's really interesting. And we did a lot more in the early days, because different casks tend to like your house whiskey. We get a faster and more instant effect using sweet white wine casks, for example, than we do red wine casks. But I've been to other distilleries whose spirit prefers red wine casks. Again, that luxury of time. When we first started, some of our whiskey spirit went straight into red wine casks. And after about 7 years, we're like, they're just not good enough. And if we had been paying somebody else for storage space, we probably would have got rid. But we don't. We've got all our own warehousing here, and therefore, we'll just leave them in a corner. And now all of a sudden, 14, 15 years old, they're delicious.
Right. They needed that time, though.
They need that time. Whereas some of the sweet white wines, we see a really lovely reaction early doors.
Yeah.
And it just comes back to, the overwhelming thing in whiskey is, have you got enough time?
Yeah.
and we're lucky, we have all our own warehouses, bonded warehouses on site. So I think we can hold 13,500 casks if we're full. It's just a massive luxury.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to sample a cask, we walk out the door. We don't have to ring somebody else and go, can you sample these casks? So it's, yes, we start with 2 base spirits pretty much, and then use loads of different casks over time. We also have, which I always think is lovely, I think all by about 2 years, we have a week or so where we make grain whiskey. And some of that is because, obviously, we can sell grain whiskey. But another side of it is it's an incredibly good training tool for distillers. When you're doing your core products, they'll hate me for saying this, but it's a bit painting by numbers. You do not want it to change.
You don't want to mess with it. No, because you created that, you created that structure, that recipe. That's what you're sticking with.
We definitely don't want a different one years later.
Yeah.
And so once you've got it right, you know how many minutes your still's run, etc. That's what you do day after day. Whereas with the grain whiskies, and some of our grain whiskies will have 7 different grain types in it.
Yeah, so you're, by grain whiskey, just for our listeners, you're meaning anything,
wheat, rye, maize, anything.
Yeah, anything
I mean,
you want to play around with.
There. It's amazing. It's all malted. But it's fab. It's brilliant for a new distiller that's here because they can try different cup times on stills, different mashing temperatures. You know, it's where we can have some fun. Yeah. We can train people what effects things have. So that's a week or two. It's a week or two everyone. Most people look forward to, but a lot of the grains do come in small bags, which we're not very used to. So suddenly it's like, oh God, manual labour.
Working them through the distillery.
So that's the only exception to the rule, really, which is good.
Yeah, amazing. Do you have a favourite? Do you have a favourite style in terms of...
You're asking who my favourite child is.
I know, but I have to.
It's changed over time. So I don't think this is a secret anymore, but when my father first went, we're going to build a whisky distillery, I actually, as well as farming, had a building company. So it was like, all right, I'll build it. And we went off to Scotland on the guise of lots of...
Distillery tours and
investigation. And all the
research.
time, we'd come home and you'll come back to the hotel everywhere, and Dad would go through sort of, a whole load of whiskies, and I'd sit there sipping beer or a wine or a gin and tonic, anything but whiskey. And eventually there was a barman, I think it was in Duns or somewhere there, who went, you can't do this. If you're going to build a distillery, we're going to find you a whiskey that you can drink. So he literally spent his evening pouring these tiny little measures of all sorts of whiskies. And then about 3/4 of the way through the evening, he produced from under the counter a bright pink whiskey, which I think, if memory serves me right, was probably an 18-month-old wine cask whiskey. And I went, it wasn't intolerable. And the moment he knew what I liked,
he could work from
could just
that
narrow it down. And so by the end of the trip, I could drink whiskey without grimacing.
Big steps.
Yes, big steps. And again, it's a function of age, I think. I had some bad experiences, with whiskey, just like other people do with vodka or tequila or whatever, in earlier life. And so once we got going here, it's amazing how quickly you learn to like something, especially if you're tasting it every morning, which, 70% new make from the stills is, you soon get used to it. But it was, once we got going, for probably the first 15 years, my favourite has been our rum cask whiskey, unpeated, and it started off life called Chapter 7, and these days comes in various guises as small batches, etc. We had this question on tours and at shows. I don't know, I don't really like whiskey, and it was like, well, you probably didn't like olives 10 years ago, but your
palate shifted,
and I think actually over time mine has shifted
naturally.
And so now tapping this glass that's full of it, I actually will sit down now and happily drink a peated. No, when I say peated, a smoky whiskey. I still struggle with the real
heavy duty
TCP Islas. But it's but a decent amount of smoke now probably floats my boat more than the unpeated. But that might be because I've been at it so long, my taste buds are becoming slightly immune to all things.
Yeah, naturally.
So yes, I do believe taste buds change over time. We used to tell people every 7 years.
Well,
when you talk to people,
you lose elements, and
yes,
if
exactly.
you look at a small child, that's why broccoli or mint or things like that. Yep. It's just it's too sensational for them, and as we age, those dissipate, and we find these. And this one, which I've been nosing while we've been chatting, is absolutely stunning.
This is lovely, and the other thing that I on record is I love water with my whiskey. And the whole idea of drinking it neat, especially for us at the distillery, most of the things I get offered to taste or told to taste are cask strength, and it's just too much, I think.
Yes, yeah.
And so at home, I drink them long, highball glass, loads of water. Sacrilege, probably, but I like it, and therefore that's the way I'm going to drink it.
Absolutely.
Recently, though, I can suddenly drink cask strength whiskies without the burn or anything. So again, I think there's just been a taste bud change.
Yeah.
I don't think I've suddenly started drinking more and I've got used to it. It's either that or our whiskey's suddenly chilled out. But the same applies to every other brand.
Every other brand. So it can,
this one, for example, this sherry hogshead. Yeah, I wouldn't put water on it. I would if I was with mates, because I'm greedy and I need to keep drinking. Yeah. And therefore, I can't keep drinking at 50 or 70%. I'll be pissed in minutes. So, yes, water goes in for needs. But actually, for tasting, I can do this one neat, which is good.
Yeah.
So you're right. Things do change over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of change over time, you mentioned you're part of the English Whisky Guild, which has been set up not in just in the last few years to kind of help oversee all those newbies that are getting into this world.
Yes. It didn't start off for that.
Okay.
So it was started by four of us, myself down at the Cotswold, Tagore, who at the time was at Toad, or the Oxford Distillery, and Stephen, who is Copper Rivet, put it together. And it was not about anything. We were going to put together a group of us for marketing purposes, really, to big up English whiskey, not our individual brands, but to raise awareness of English whiskey.
So, like the category in general. Category.
Exactly.
There is beautiful whiskey made
here. Taken
here.
out of other whiskey on websites and have our own.
Yeah.
As it turns out, it's been very successful. We have 20 odd distilling members, I think, and a load of secondary members. You have people in the allied industries who are incredibly useful. But off the starting blocks, one of the things that became very important was creating not a set of rules. It is a set. It's become a set of rules. But we needed to define what English whiskey was. And in simplest terms, we were all like, well, it should be made in England. Yeah. Wasn't very difficult. But actually...
But it hadn't been laid down in like a charter or like a rule.
The European rule that we had adopted after Brexit just said it had to be made from grain.
Right.
And matured in wood for 3 years.
Yeah.
But it didn't say that French whiskey had to be made in France or English had to be made in England. And it was, within a month or two of coming together, we found a whiskey, and I forget now who made it, that clearly wasn't English whiskey. It was just imported from somewhere, labelled up, because they bottled it in England. So fine.
Then labelling it,
and it was being sold at such a ridiculously cheap price. So we're like, well, we have to sort this out. So there are only two ways of sorting it out. One is an Act of Parliament, which in theory takes about 7 years if you can get it to happen.
You can just ring King Charles.
Yes, in theory. But that to get like the Scottish Whisky Act, which defines what whiskey is. Yeah. Or the other more sort of modern way of doing it is a GI, Geographical Indicator. So what defines Stilton cheese or Mowbray pork pies, that sort of thing. So we thought we'd do one for English whiskey because it was only going to take 2 or 3 years. I don't know how long we're in. We must be 4 or 5 years in. But we're in the home straight. I think it's with the Secretary of State at the moment for his perusal. But it's quite a tightrope walk between being non-restrictive and what people can do, but equally not straying from some of the well-known terms. So if people were buying a single malt whiskey,
it should still be made from
need to know that it should be made from malted barley and made by one distillery.
Yes.
But that's created all sorts of issues. Things that I don't think are relevant, but other people do. So, for example, there's a distillery who've been going a long time, make lovely whiskey, who have a brewery on one side of the farm and a distillery on the other. Now, by Scottish rules, that is not allowed because it's 2 sites, even though it's the same distilling company.
Interesting. Okay.
They're going, no, you can't do that. You're suddenly off one site. So we have made our rules different to theirs to allow that, because it's ridiculous that it shouldn't be made. The beer side shouldn't be. I mean, whether it's made in one shed 100 yards from the distilling shed, or whether it's made.
It's amazing that they're doing it themselves in the first place, and I think that should be celebrated.
Yes. So that's one thing that has come up over time. The other one is, and I think it's fantastic, is we are insisting whiskey should be matured in wood, not oak.
Yes. So it gives you much wider variety of styles of cask to be using, like Ireland. Put it in some chestnut, put it in some,
So there are little things, and I think right at the end of the process, when you've got your finished whiskey, so for example, single malt Scotch has to be bottled in Scotland. In this modern, environmentally conscious world, shipping glass from one side of the world to the other is ridiculous. And so should Brazil become a great marketplace for English whiskey as a category,
could you actually bottle it there?
Yes, the new rules will allow us to bottle it there.
Fantastic.
So we're not carting tons of glass around the world. And for us, that makes sense. It doesn't affect the quality of the end product at all.
No. And it's much more environmentally conscious.
There are some minor differences. But ultimately, because we are a fledgling industry, that's fair.
Yeah.
We are still, all bar one, owned by founders and passionate people.
Yes.
And therefore, we're here to make good whiskey. You won't survive otherwise. So in practice, now's the time to put the rules in.
Absolutely. To create that foundation.
Yes. Once you're owned by conglomerates with a board on the other side of the world, who cares?
Yes.
So we've got to get the rules in before that.
Before then. Amazing.
And then the guild can go back to supporting the category as a marketing thing rather than worrying about the... Yeah, exactly.
As someone who has worked in this space for the last 20 years, do you have any advice for those new distillers or those looking into this space thinking, I'd love to do that? Is it a good idea?
Yes. I do think about this quite a lot. I'm constantly amazed how many people enter whiskey distilling later in life. It's quite an extraordinary thing to put quite a lot of money. You're going to put a lot of your own savings in no matter what you do.
Yes.
Knowing that
you've
got 10 years at least and maybe 30, by which point you'll be gone.
Yeah.
Either you'll have retired or you'll have perished. But that is an extraordinary... You really want to be thinking about doing this at 40, not at 60. That's one of the things I think of. And the other one is you do need some money. Yes. And if you borrow it all, you've got to pay it back at some point, which is a bit disappointing. And the third one is, right at the beginning, there are really probably 2 main categories of people that do it, and you see it probably more in white spirits. You've got the marketeer who creates a brand, who
works backwards,
finds a product to fulfill that brand and sell it. That doesn't mean it's by any means inferior, but it's a different skill set. Or you've got, where we've come from, we're all about the production and we're terrible at marketing and sales. And so, but the two have very different skill sets coming in, and the end result probably is very different. One will have, I think the first probably comes with the need of an exit plan.
Yes.
Right or wrong, yeah, I'm sure lots of people will disagree with that. Whereas the second probably has longevity, but you're not going to get rich quick.
It's a slow burn.
It's a very slow burn. It might take a long time. Yes. So it's, but yes, advice. There are definitely ways to get rich quicker. Think about that before you buy a still.
Before you dip a toe into the world of distilling. Andrew, it's been fascinating talking to you. Before we finish the podcast, I have to ask, with that palate changing, desert island dram that's not one of your own.
I told you before I didn't read your questions.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yes. Now, I did scan down them, and the bottom one's quite hard. But I think I'm going to pick a weird one. It's not weird for me. When we first started here, we used to have a shop downstairs.
Yes.
That sold everyone else's whiskey, about 400 other whiskies that you couldn't buy in the supermarket. It allowed all sorts of things. One, it allowed whiskey enthusiasts who were coming to see us to buy some whiskey. Yeah. Because we didn't have any at the time. And secondly, it allowed us to keep an eye on what people were doing, pricing and packaging and tastes. And one of the ones that we sold tons of, I mean, pallet loads of it, and we would automatically get out for the person that went, I don't really like whiskey, was, I haven't seen it in ages, but it was a Nicker straight from the barrel, and it was a little square dumpy bottle. I think it was about 50% alcohol.
Yeah.
But it was just
the 50 CL straight from the barrel.
So easy drinking.
Yeah.
Never found anybody that didn't particularly like it.
Absolutely.
And it was just, for me, it was the perfect entry whiskey.
Yeah.
And so, that would be my desert island whiskey.
That's a brilliant one. Do you know, that was one of my first introductions to Japanese whiskey. That there was the red, black and white, and then there was straight from the barrel. And there was those few, again, back in the days when it was probably about 20 quid in the supermarket.
It was cheap. Yeah, exactly.
No longer the case, but a lovely whiskey to send you off with. Well, Andrew, thank you so much. It's been a joy, and I wish you all the best for the coming 20 years. Hopefully there'll be lots of celebrations. Along the way. Fantastic. Well, I can raise a dram to you with that one. Thank you so much. Cheers. I'm going to have a sip of this now.